Hello all, welcome to Helping Testers. So in this session we will be talking about various listeners. Now what are listeners? If I make a thread plan, that is a thread group, and inside this I see these listeners. Now what are these listeners? Listeners, or you can say the reporting tools. When you develop any script, or let's say you are putting a load on any script, so we have these type of reports. What they do, they actually keep listening, that is they will keep reporting to your load testing or API testing, and they will keep on generating the results or graphs or table, whatever the listener is. So JMeter provides a various number of ways by which you can see your reports. You can view your graphs, you can view reports, you can check just results, you can have another type of graphs. So there are multiple ways and by which you can see these graphs or reports. So we know in JMeter it is known as listeners. So we will be talking about some important listeners. So first of all, let me make a request and let me hit Gmail, or let's say, okay, gmail.com. So it's a get request. I will mention it Gmail, and I will add one listener that is known as view result tree, and I will save this. I will save this under videos listeners, and I will name it as view result tree. And let me run this. Let's make it google.com. as Gmail was taking time. Okay, I will rename it as Google also to avoid the confusion. I will clear the old result and I will run now. You can see the Google API has been hit. Now I'm viewing this in view result tree. What all the JMeter components we have been studying till now, we have been using this listener, the default listener, that is view result tree till now, because it justifies most of our needs. We are able to view our request. If you click on this, you will find three tabs: sample, result, request and response. In request, it will give you what the request you have sent. So I have sent this Google, it's a get request, I didn't add any cookies, and these are the details of host and user agent stuff. So this is whole response which I have received. And sample data, it tells about that what was the size of the request, how much time it take, what's the response code, and some another these type of stuff. You can click on this, it will just say that there were two API hits. That first I hated was google.com, but what the Google guys do after google.com, they switched me or redirect to google.co.in, so that's why there were two API hits, right? Also, as you can see, I am viewing this in text format. If you click a drop down, you will see some another formats as well. If I click on HTML, so HTML is something when you view a page, whatever you are viewing here, this is an HTML, right? This UI. So if I view an HTML and click on response data, you will see here that what you are getting is a Google page. This is how the Google when opens looks like, right? You get a search window here and settings option here, India written here, search, images, play, YouTube. So these are options. So you get something like this. You can see if I click on Google, it is saying moved, and in google.co.in you are finding this. So you can view in another formats, like suppose you want to check for JSON, you will find the response data in JSON format. You can see the XML format. So this is how the view result tree is used. So the name comes view result tree because it works in a tree manner. If I have, let's say, 2 requests, so it would give me 2 responses. If I run this, so you see it's working in a type of tree. So it has given me 2 Google. Now, what all reports this view result tree would be capturing is to its level. For example, for this thread group, this view result tree is a level of this API and this API. So it will capture the reports of both of these APIs. Now if I will name this as thread group 1. If I have another thread group, that is a thread group 2, and I will have another sampler here, I will make it google.com only. I will just mention it Google also here, right? So I have 2 thread groups. In first thread group 2 APIs are being hit, and in second thread group only 1 API. Let me save this and run now, and let me see to view result tree. I didn't clear the old result. Okay, now I'm running it. So you can see that I was having 3 requests, but here it is showing only 2 requests. The reason is this in this the visibility of view result tree is only having these 2 Google. If you go to this Google, there is no view result tree. So I need to add view result tree here as well. Okay, now let me run this. So if I go to this view result tree, again showing me only 2 requests. Okay, we added one view result tree here as well. If I click on this, I'm getting only 1 request, that is of thread group 2. The reason is this view result tree can only listen to these 2 APIs because they are at the same hierarchy, and this view result tree can only listen to this Google. So how I want a common report for both of them? What I can do, I can add view result tree, a listener, at the global level, that is at the test plan level. So if I add a view result tree, so you can see these thread groups and this view result tree are at the same level, so it will be recording activity of both, that is it will be listening to thread group 1 and as well as thread group 2. Now if I run this, so this will show me 3 requests, but the view result tree inside the thread group will still show 2, and the view result tree inside the thread group 2 will still be showing 1. But this view result tree, the outer view result tree is at global level, so it is showing all 3 requests. So this is the basic and most easy type of request. One more thing, all the listeners which will be learning here, you can save them in a file also. So let's say I can save them in a file. Let's say go to my home, and I will save it as result.csv, and let me open it. So this is the path, and if I run this again, so this was my file. Let me go to this, you will find this result scan. So this is the file which was saved. Okay, the format I think I've written wrong, it is CSV. So I will run it again. It's not running. Overwrite existing file. Okay, just till now. Okay, so there are 2 requests passed and 1 was failed. So let me just open this file, result file. So you can see it is showing me the result. So there were 3 requests, 2 were Google, all 3 were Google, 2 were passed, so I'm getting a response code of 200. Third, we stopped it forcefully, so it is giving us that the socket error. It is giving us the result and what was the idle time, how much bytes did it send, and connect time, idle time. So all these stuff. So with all the listeners, you will getting an option where you can save the results to a file using this file name option. Okay, so that was all. That was all in the section for view result tree listener. We'll be talking about a listener that is aggregate reports. So what I will do, I will delete this thread request. Let me save this and save with a new name, that is the aggregate reports, and I won't need this thread group. I will remove this. I don't need this view result tree. Okay, so I have this google.com and I have another request and I will hitting yahoo.com. What I'm doing, guys, yeah, yahoo.com. Okay, and I will name this at Yahoo, and I will be putting a request, that not request, a listener that is aggregate reports. So it has some columns. What it means, I will be explaining you once my test execution runs. So I would be in better stage to explain them and you would be able to grasp more. So let me save this and run this. Just a second. Yeah. So you can see there was only one sampler. So this was the report. Sorry, I'm not able to zoom it much, but this is the report. So here you find one sampler and you see this was the average, median was same, 90% was same. So I am getting almost the same data in every column. The reason being I am only hitting one request. So let me change this with the some, let's say 20 request, and or I will make one request and I will make a loop of 20, and I will save this and run it now. So you can say as the samplers would increase, this count would be increasing and respectively all values would be changing. You can see here. So it's 2. So you can see the count is increasing and simultaneously the result is increasing. So executing is going, so total 15 samplers had been hitted. So we have 2 requests for 20, right? For this 20 there would be these 2 requests, so that is total 40 samplers would be executing. So you can see it is showing that this much threads have been executed and simultaneously all these values are being updated. So once these are executed, I would be explaining you what actually these are. So it's 23, it's taking time, so let me pause it and explain now. Still we have a very good data here. Now these label, first of all this label tells me what all request you are hitting. So we have 2 APIs, Google and Yahoo, and it is showing me the total. So total, we stop the execution unless it would have been 2020. So in our case it is being showing 1212 and the total number of requests which were hitted. So these were the samplers, that is the request which hits. Now the average. So we give what we did, we add 12 requests to google.com, and what was the average time? That is in 540 seconds the Google was responding or giving the response. Median, so this was the average for Google, And if you observe here, for Yahoo it is giving 6383, that is, it is taking 6 seconds average, while for the Google it was less than a second. For Yahoo it was more than 6 seconds. That is, it was 8 times much higher. So that's speaking in itself that yes, Yahoo itself is the best search engine. Median, for median we do have mathematics you have studied in your school days, so it's not much, it's just a calculation. We just skip this part, it's not of much use. Now these three are of great importance when we are viewing the aggregate reports, and these are mainly the reasons we do the aggregate report. So it is giving me 90 per line. So what it says, that out of the 100% request, that is 12 requests which we hit, 90% of the request took this time, that is 569 request, 569. 95% of the request took this time, and 99% of the request took this time. So it is showing me a percentage that if I say out of my 100 requests, only 90 requests, I want the data of 90 requests which were best, so it was saying 569. If I say give me the data of 95, so it is the request were 569, and if I say the 99 request, then it is good me 605. So similarly for the Yahoo, that is 99% of the request took this much time. Now I have here min and max column, which is says that out of this 12 requests, what is the minimum and maximum time taken by the API. So you can see the minimum time is 516, so it is the minimum of all these, and similarly the maximum time taken is 605, so it is always maximum or equal to this. And similarly for the Yahoo, so it was taking time because the maximum time taken by one of the Yahoo API was around 24 seconds. That's why we thought, okay, it's okay to stop our execution because it was taking a lot of time. There was no error for the Google, yet is it showing the error message for Yahoo. The reason is we clicked on the stop button and we didn't get the response. Now this is throughput. It is also an important column. So throughput says that the capacity of the server, that what a server was behaving. So the Google server was able to handle 12 requests per minute, while the Yahoo server was able to handle 8 requests per minute. And these are not so much resemblance, just saying that how many bytes which we have sent and received by the API. So just again, samplers give us the count, average, the average time taken by the APIs, 90% taken time taken by the 90% APIs took this much time, 95% API took this much time, 99 this much, minimum and maximum API time taken by the API. If there error, then what is the error, and throughput, that is the number of requests handled by the server, and the number of bytes which is sent by these APIs, and number of bytes received by these APIs. So this is an aggregate report. So similarly we have studied how we can save it in a file. So it is common for all the listeners. So for aggregate report also, you can browse and save in data in this file and you can view it later. One more report that is a listener, that is aggregate graph. So aggregate graph, as the name suggests, that whatever we represent in the aggregate report is being represented in an aggregate graph. So all this data would be coming in a form of graph. So you will have whatever we data have in aggregate report coming here, and corresponding the graph would be generated. Let's see, let's run this request and see again. So I say graph here. So you can see the requests are coming, right? And you see now. So this is the graph. First one is for the Google and the next one is for Yahoo. As the execution is complete, so I have to again refresh it, right? So let it execute it for some time. Let's stop this. Okay, don't want to execute it completely. And now if I see to graph, so it will give me a report. Now it is giving me a red, that is for how much time. So if I come say it is giving me an average time, that is average time taken by the Google, that is around the 500, and for the Yahoo is around 5 seconds, say 5000. Suppose I want to see this, how much the 99% of the requests are taking time. So this is the 99 column. I can click this checkbox, and if I come here, I can see the graph of this pink one is wallet one is for the 99 percentile. So here you can see in the graphical manner and you can compare it. You don't need to see the data. If I show you this graph, you will easily understand, yes, this API is taking a lot of time as comparison to others. So you have, let's say 10 APIs for one server, and you can similarly put load and just verify, okay, so this API is taking a time and we need to work on it. So similarly here also, you can save the graph in some PNG format. Let's say I click on a desktop and save it in, let's say, PNG file. And if you can see, yes, this was aggregate graph, so it is asking me where to view. Okay, so you can see the graph has been saved, right? So what all you can do, you can just copy paste this graph and you can put it in your reports. Just a second. Yeah, you can copy this graph, put it in your mail, and you can use it and send the mails. Or you can work it anyway. You can save this table. So this all table data would be saved and you can attach it in your report. So there's number of ways how you can send a report. You can send aggregate report, you can send aggregate graph, you can save user tree report. So whatever which suits your business and your project. Another listener, that is simple writer listener. So we will use this only and we will remove old listener. I don't think, I'm not saving these test plans because I don't think you would be needing these. These are simple APIs and you can add these listeners to any of your past APIs and you can see how these listeners are behaving. So let me add one listener, that is simple data writer. So here you cannot see anything, just that you can save the result. You can save the result. It's on desktop with name of CSV. You can save in JTL format, XML format, or CSV. So as the JMeter files or scripts are saved in GMX, so similarly JMeter reports you can also save in JTL format, but we are storing in CSV. Now could not open, so I have given the path. Now one thing you will analyze, that every listeners you can view something, but this listener is type of different. You are just saving it. This saving option was available with all the listeners. Then why the JMeter guys have put a specific reason? The reason is that when we are learning, right now we are in a learning mode of JMeter and we are using view result tree, aggregate repos and all others reports. And we are teaching, we are putting in a load of, let's say 10 users, 20 users, then it is fine. But in real scenario, you would be putting a huge load, let's say 100 users, 500 users, and like this. So when you are putting so much load, a lot of memory is being consumed to show that result on your GUI mode here. Also, the data which is being showed on GUI mode varies. It is not exact. There may be some milliseconds or second different, because they need to capture all that data and view on that GUI mode. It takes, the result which we are getting in listeners is not accurate. Plus, let's say from a system you are able to generate X amount of load. So what was system was doing? It was generating load for the load testing, and also it was fetching the reports for showing GUI mode. So you were generated X amount of load. But if you, let's say that okay, I will not be using this GUI mode, because you can run JMeter through command prompt also. You don't need to open this GUI mode. So when you say okay, I will be running my JMeter through command prompt, then your system capacity will only be putting to generate the load. It won't be required to capture the reports as well. So you can generate some X plus amount of load. So that is from the same system. If we are not using a GUI mode, you can generate a larger amount of load. Plus the result which you are getting are always accurate. So let me run this. If I run the same data, some test case, and let me save this, stop this, and if you see here statistics, so this Excel sheet is generated and it has the data. Also, let me show you the importance of one file. We can save this in JTL format also. So what is this importance? Let me show you. I will run this. I will let it to be executed for some time, and I will stop this. So you can see one JTL file is generated. Now what's the importance of this file, this JMeter file? Let's say I was using a non-GUI mode and I saved all the data in JTL file. Now your question must be coming, so now you want to see view result tree or aggregate report, how you can view them? Once your execution is completed, then open your GUI mode and simply add a listener. Let's say for example I will add aggregate report. Here I can do import also. I will import this JTL file which we just. You can see the data is loaded. So this JTL file captures all the data. The reason is, if you're not using a file, this GUI mode, you can simply write the data to a file. Your execution is completed. You can open the GUI mode and you can add any listener and you can view it. Suppose I want to view the graph. I will add aggregate graph and I will just view that JTL file. So this is my JTL file, and if I go to graphs, I will see a graph here. Right? I can change it. I want to see 99 percentile. I want to see 90 percentile. I want to see median. Similarly, I can see the graphs here. So that's the benefit of simple data writer. So you can save this JTL file by using any of these file names. Right? You can save in CSV format as well as JTL format. So when we are actually running the load testing, or we are doing load testing, we don't use this aggregate reports and aggregate graphs. We simply use this simple data writer. We save the reports, and for viewing them, then we can use aggregate report or graph, whatever we want. Right? So it is an important one, that is simple data writer listener. Assertion result. So let me add a thread group. In my thread group, add a sampler. And I would be hitting google.com. Suppose I put any assertion to this request. For example, let me give an assertion that duration, that this request should be completed in, let's say, 500 milliseconds. So, and if I run this, right, if I run this and I'm disabling this assertion result, and let me save this plan at assertion results, right, and let me run this. Now you can see this request is failed, right, but you don't know the reason. You are still getting 200, but you don't know the reason. The reason is that the assertion is failing, but what it is expected, what it should be, there is nothing in the results. So for this you can add this assertion results. Now what the assertion result does? Assertion result reads the assertions, that what the assertion is and if it pass or fail. If it fails, let me show you how it looks like. If it fails, then you would get an error that duration assertion. What is failing is duration assertion. The operation lasted too long, that is more than 500 milliseconds, and what I expected was that it should be complete in 500 seconds. Now if I say that the request should be completed in 1 second, how this assertion result will behave? We run it. So it has not given error. It just says that what request was executed. It was parsed. So it just give the request name. It won't give any more result. This assertion result will tell only what was expected and what it did get only when any assertion fails. So similarly, we have different type of assertions here. So if you want to get the reason that or you want to listen to these assertions that they should print why they are failing, you can use this assertion result. So that's all. Thank you.